Hey, speaking of sleeping on things, I think we're strongly sleeping on Dean Evison as coach of the year. Look at the lack of salary cap space that they have compared to every other team in the NHL.
Wouldn't that be GM of the year, though?
No, because the coach is the one who's getting the most out of the players, right? GM of the year, you got to make moves.
It's the GM who went out and got Philip Gustafson.
True,
swapping him for Cam Talbot when it would have just been easy to go through the year with Cam Talbot.
Yeah, no, that move worked for sure. But I just look at the coach and Bill Guerin, you can give him some props, but he also made the decision to have $12 million in wasted cap space. So it's a tough one. But I look at Evison and what he's doing in Minnesota. They're 1 point out of first place in the Central. And
they've been way too streaky for me to be in any sort of coach of the year talk. They looked way too fragile at times. They've been a team of runs. They started poorly. Then when they got Ryan Reeves, they went really hot. Then they went cold and were awful coming out of the All-Star break and before it. And then now they're tying a franchise record point streak. Like that just doesn't – that's not coach of the year conversation for me.
Yeah, to me, I look at it. Look, Kaprizov's now out, and they're still winning without their clear best player. Like they're a team, like we talked earlier, Frank, about John Tortorella's giving Philadelphia too many points, right? Because they're getting everything out of them. Well, Evanson's doing that in a way that they're a playoff team. They got as many points as Tampa freaking Bay right now.
Tampa freaking Bay. So Tyler, let's do another fill in the blank then. So since Jay just answered it, Dean Evison, who is the sneaky coach of the year candidate that no one's talking about outside of Jim Montgomery.
What's your answer, Frank?
Well, I've been saying for weeks or months that first off, my preseason pick was Rick Bowness, and I would say Winnipeg would be in the mix, but this recent slide and how poorly they've played since the end of January has given me some real cause for concern. Why doesn't Lindy Ruff deserve more consideration?
Hey, and for me, like I remember when we did one of our early DFO live shows this year, he was my prediction for who will be the first coach fired. I was like, oh, you have Andrew Brunette on the bench. They're booing Lindy Ruff at the opening game. Like I was like, man, they're going to gas him, and then the Devils will go on and make the playoffs. And I mean, for him to come and have the impact he's had while Andrew Brunette's kind of been there and all that kind of negative energy was around them to start, I think Lindy Ruff's a good answer. What about Lane Lambert?
They might win the division.
Yeah. They might. Lane Lambert basically the same roster as they had last year out on Long Island, and he's managed to get them scoring more, giving up less, and they're probably going to be a playoff team this year, or is that a stretch?
They still haven't cracked 200 goals.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out how to score.
That's fair. Yeah. Dean Evison, Lindy Ruff. Yeah, those are both two really good ones.